Good evening, everyone. I'm Tammy Tuckey, and you've made it to our Glowing and Timeless Places CD album release party. So welcome to the fun. So this evening, what we're going to do is we're going to get to meet some of the talented individuals who joined me to make this album possible, and also commemorate to those who are watching this evening who are Indiegogo supporters. So thank you for supporting the album and making it possible. So today, April 15th, is the official release. Of course, we have the CD release and also the digital album release. And for some of you who will be watching tonight, you will have the opportunity to win your own CD copy of the actual album itself and a t-shirt and some other goodies. So during this evening, I'm going to have the ticker down below where you can use the Rafflecopter link to go ahead and send your entries in, and then we'll pick a winner at the very end of the night as well too. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put in the YouTube comments section a link so you can go ahead and put your entries in, because we want to see who will win the prize. Again, we'll announce it at the very end of this evening's broadcast, because we're going to be here from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern. So thanks for joining us for the fun this evening. So before we get started, we'll be introducing each guest as they come along and playing clips from the album. We won't be playing entire clips from the album, just segments. And you can go to tammytuckey.com/order to hear some more sections of the songs and be able to stream, because now it's officially live on Spotify, and you'll be able to go ahead and buy an album as well too if you don't win one tonight. And please share with your friends and family, because we put a lot of hard work into this album, and we're really excited to share it with you finally after all of these months of putting it together. Almost a full year of putting this project together, baby steps at one at a time, and the puzzle pieces come together, and now we get to present to you all of these wonderful tracks. And also, I like to share that we have the CD here too, so you could take a look at it. Inside there is a booklet that we created, and also we have the songs up on here as well. I just love the way it turned out. Inside the booklet, there are some photos from my family's trips to Walt Disney World that correspond with the songs that we'll be talking about tonight. So let's jump in with our first guest. Let me play a little commercial so you can hear some of the music and the instrumentals that he created for the album. Here we go. I see. So I'd like to welcome James Clark. Hello, James.
Hi there, Tammy. Good afternoon or good evening. Hi.
Tell everybody where you're hailing from, because this is why you're your first thing,
Yeah,
your first guest on the show.
I was going to say, yeah, thanks for picking me early, because it's actually 11:04 p.m. in London, and that's where I am tonight in London, England. So yeah, it's a late night on a Saturday night, but I'm here. It's good to see you.
You have some coffee?
No, I've actually just a can of pop. That's all I've got. If I have too much coffee, I won't go to sleep tonight.
Even better. So let's talk about the instrumentals that you got to create for the album, because I think we talked about this on Zoom a little bit about what I was looking for, and then you started working on the instrumentals, and a lot of people wanted to know what are your first steps to start creating just an album in general, like tracks, instrumentals in general.
Yeah, well, I'm quite lucky, Tammy, as I've been doing music for about 30 years now. So I've been producing music professionally for around 30 years. So I'm getting quite used to doing backing tracks for artists. And I'm a pianist by trade. So I play the piano, and you can see my little electric piano behind me where I do work here in my spare room. And I just sit and map it out on the piano. I mean, anybody who plays a musical instrument will know that their strengths lie in the one that they're most comfortable playing. So I play the piano. So I sit and play the piano. And so when I get requests from people like yourself, Tammy, I just sit there and play away, and I map the whole thing out from start to finish just on piano. Even if the end track doesn't even have a piano in it, it's just nice to kind of get that piano feel and piano vibe. And then I just sit and listen to it over and over again. And the thing about the tracks I did for your work, you wanted a particular style, you want a certain instrumental composition, you want strings, brass, and all the other things. And so I just sit there and mull over in my head and listen to the piano track, and then add all the instruments to that, and then we create a song. It takes
And
hours, but it's great fun.
well, I think were any of the songs I sent you anything that you had ever heard of before?
Well, I mean, I have seen Avatar several times, and so I know that track very well,
Mhm.
the one from there. But to be honest, I think you know me well enough now that I'm not a huge Disney fanatic. I mean, I know Disney, but I don't sit and listen to Disney all the time. So it's actually quite a pleasure. I mean, one of the great things about working with talent is that I just get to play all sorts of music. I don't get to do one genre. I'm not
Mhm.
just a pop or a rock or a country or whatever. If somebody wants something weird, which isn't my normal style, I will happily engage with it and get on with it, and I love it. It's just great fun learning new music.
So you did ICU. Were any of the other tracks a little bit more difficult for you, or which ones did you prefer? Because you also did We Just Begun to Dream.
Yeah.
You also did Cinematic, which was my original piece, and we worked on that together to get a really great sound. And you did Hellfire from The
Mm.
Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Well, I
So
mean,
what
those 4 tracks, we've got chalk and cheese and everything in between on there. We've got some classic kind of, soundtrack pop. We've got something I'd never heard before, so your own track, just so that the audience know what this started like. I got an MP3 sent to me by Tammy by email, which was Tammy and her friend on the piano, um, at a slightly different tempo. Maybe the actual order of the verses and the chorus wasn't quite in the right place, and Tammy said, James, do something with this. So that was a really complex track to work on because I had absolutely no idea what it was you were trying to do with the song. It was just a
Mhm.
very simple vocal and piano version I got, but I knew I wanted it to make it sound kind of cinema soundtrack, something from the early days of cinema, and I needed that kind of stringy vibe going on there. So yeah, that was a really complex track. To be honest, I never find these things particularly hard, and I know that sounds a little bit flippant, but actually, they're always fun. Even the
Mhm.
really hard ones are really fun. So you can just kind of just noodle away until something sounds good. And nothing that you hear on the album was anything like the first version I came up with. I'd sit there and do one
Yes.
version and go, ooh, don't like that, rework a bit, and then eventually, when I feel brave enough, I'll send a copy to the customer, in your case, Tammy, just to see what you thought of it. And thankfully, you liked what you heard, which was always good. I'll be honest,
Yes.
there's nothing worse than getting somebody right back to me and say, no, I don't like anything you've done there, James. Could you do something
Because you're
different?
like all that hard work you put in
Yeah,
already.
yeah, yeah. I
Well,
mean, something
Bob
else I
says he loves your We've Just Begun to Dream.
brilliant. Yeah, well, thank you, Bob. No, that kind of stuff is my bread and butter. I grew up in the 70s when electronic music was new and exciting, and there was that kind of cross genre between electronic and the classic kind of guitar-based rock. And so,
Mhm.
I spent most of my childhood listening to prog rock, and prog rock is all about synthesized bass lines, drum machines, and then the guitars on top. So really, that kind of track was great fun to do.
Yeah, because I said to you, I said that we want like a Tron feel
Yeah,
to it.
yeah,
And I'm also hearing a little bit of Xanadu in there, just a little bit. And that's actually what I told Brendan, who mixed the album. We'll be talking to him later. But I said to him, I said, I want that ending to have like this weird Xanadu feeling
yeah,
to kind of close it out, right? So,
yeah,
and it was
yeah.
so interesting because when I was talking to a couple of individuals about like when they were listening to my tracks, because I wanted to hear some uh like advice and what people thought. And a lot of people are like, wow, your opening for We've Just Begun to Dream, which is the first track, is very long and it doesn't have you singing in it. And I said, that's what I want.
Yeah.
Because we're about to take a journey. This is an album. It's something to be listened from top to bottom. And I loved what you did with the beginning. I was like, this is just too good. So if anything, I think we cut it down just a little bit, right? It was a little bit longer, but we cut it down, and I think it's exactly what we need.
No, I do like being given free rein, but obviously I need to be reined in from time to time. So yeah, I could have made that instrumental go
No,
on for the
it
first
was
12.
great. Oh my gosh, it was so great. Oh, my dad's in the audience. He says, "I See You is amazing, so lush from the
Mhm.
Avatar films, and now Avatar Land,
Yeah,
Pandora."
absolutely. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah,
That was
so
the
I mean,
hardest one for me
yeah,
vocally.
well, I mean, to sing, I mean, goodness help you singing those tracks. You've done a cracking job because I, we had a few discussions, Tammy and I, about what keys these tracks should be in, and they went up a bit, and then they went down a bit, then they went down a bit more, and then they went up a bit when you'd warmed up a bit, then they went down again. I think the final versions were right, but it took a while to get the right keys because there's a heck of a range in some of those tracks. And Hellfire as well is a great song. It's a really lovely song, and I've never heard it before since until you sent it to me.
I don't remember that. I'm kind of shocked because you're near at least France. I would just assume a lot of people in Europe know about Hunchback and know about Hellfire at least.
Okay.
So now I'm glad I've introduced you at least.
Yeah, I mean, I know about Hunchback. Hunchback's an old story that's been around for decades, but I didn't know much about the show. I've never seen the film, so I had no idea. So
I
live in
really
London.
glad you.
I have the West End on my doorstep, and yet I don't go to every show that comes along. It's just too hard.
How dare you?
I'll start a new leaf maybe next year. But no, I mean that's a brilliant track. I mean, I specialize. One of the things I do a lot of is symphony arrangements of music. So I have a lot of customers who ask me to do symphonic arrangements of pop songs or whatever. And I love building an orchestra. It's just a fascinating thing to do. Building all the instruments one by one and layering everything up, and then having this monster to try and tame and produce a track that can be sung to, because an instrumental is one thing, but one you can actually sing to is something quite different. So it's a challenge to do that.
Can you talk a little bit about the choir at the end and how we got that together?
Well, yeah, I mean, I'll give you just so people understand how this music becomes what it becomes, because I mean, this is it. I've got two of these systems, one here and one in the other place, and basically that is what I do all my music on. So there is no big choir. I don't have an orchestra. I don't have timpani and drum kits and stuff. It's all virtual. It's all samples and virtual instruments. And choirs are really tough because to record a choir and make it do what you want it to do, there's a lot of libraries you can buy out there that have choir noises. And originally, when you said to me, I want a choir, I was thinking, okay, she wants me to sing. She wants a choir to sing this whole song. That's impossible. I can't do that. And I think I tried, didn't I? I tried to do some kind of Latin stuff at the start and it didn't work. But the one thing you can get out of these machines is you can get big, big sounding choirs, really hell-bent for leather, squawking sopranos doing what they do best. And I think on that track towards the end, there are at least 3 layers of sopranos just belting vowels. I mean, they're not saying anything in particular. They're just kind of going ooh and ah and but it just sounds so great when you put them together, and they're kind of spread across the whole stereo spread. And then you've got this little voice in the middle that's trying to compete with them and push them away. It's great. Really nice. You've muted yourself, Tammy. I don't know how you've done that as the host, but you've muted yourself. There we are.
I did it myself. I was just saying, like, adding Catherine Lynch-Myring, who is the angel voice in that number, then just adds this whole other dynamic. So I love that ending because it just accumulates to a point where you're like, oh my gosh, and it blows you away. So, and I always wanted to cover Hellfire. I feel like that's one of the Disney songs that a lot of YouTubers maybe like cover, but not a lot of people release it as a cover like online because I guess maybe it's a little bit more controversial. I don't know. It's probably one of the most controversial Disney songs, but let's go to the chat here. We have Caleb. Caleb says, good evening. Good evening. Hello, Caleb. And Gert, aren't you all the way? Am I wrong? And you are in Denmark, or I'm trying to remember. Everybody's from all over the place. I love that. Hi, Bob. Album good. Well, that's good as long as you liked it. Glad to hear. And we also have Emily. Hi, Emily. How are you? She's going to be on the show a little later. And Steven says, everyone put their best foot forward to creating the best piece possible. I was happy to contribute even in a small way. This is proof everyone can achieve a dream so long as you work hard. And boy, did everybody who was a part of this album worked extremely hard. I think the other tracks that you had been working on, so we did Cinematic, I See You, and Hellfire. We just begun to dream. So you were talking a little bit about Cinematic, which is my original piece that Charlie and I recorded us creating, and then we sent it over to you to kind of put together the sound of it, right? And it's a little bit more obscure in timing and everything like that. Have you done a lot of musical theater pieces before, instrumental wise, that are kind of like
Yeah,
that? Or
that's exactly how I started. So 20 or 30 years ago, I was working for a music school in London. So there's the Italia Conti School in London, which is a talent school that do a lot of drama classes. And so I started doing music for them. So a lot of my work years and years ago was just doing those kind of 2.5 minute audition pieces for people wanting to go for West End shows and things like that. So yeah, that kind of stuff is really exciting to do. It's creative. It's very different than just a steady 4/4 pop beat. It's got a lot of different tempo in it, different feelings in it, different rises and falls, and that's what makes it more fun to do, I think. But yeah, show music is what I do. The next project, you'll be pleased to know, I'm starting on is pantomime. Of course, every year in the UK we have pantomime around Christmas
okay,
time, and so this
yeah.
year I'm producing another pantomime and real music. I've done that for about 25 years. So another year of pantomime is on the cards as well. So, and that's, again, it's very show tunes. It's very big. Every song has to have a very clear start, a very nice middle, and a very abrupt ending. You can't fade out on stage. So everything has to have a big finish to it. So it's always nice to do shows. And it's always nice to go to shows too. I mean, the one thing I'm missing about this album is being in the UK, I can't come and see you perform any of it. So I'm just going to have to listen to the CD. But, I love going to shows and seeing, especially if the music I've done, it's great to go to a show and hear people perform.
And hear it live.
Hear it
Oh
live,
my
yeah.
gosh. Everybody loves cinematic. When we did it last week at the cabaret, that was the second to last song. And then they loved it. And we closed with Tomorrow's Child and New Horizons from my first album, You'll Find Me on Main Street, which you also worked on as well. You pretty much, I think you did that entire album, pretty much.
I think I did a lot of the songs on it. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Yes. And I wish maybe we'll go on tour for this album at some point if Bob Iger calls and said, you want to go on tour? That would be great. And you were just mentioning that you were going to sing a little bit on Hellfire, but you're also a singer and you like to post your own covers. So can you tell us a little bit more about how you select your songs and where we can listen to your songs?
Well, yeah. Selecting songs. Well, this all started. I'm a singer. I'm a composer, but I'm not a performer. I don't go on stage and sing songs. I haven't done for a long, long time. I kind of work behind the scenes. But during the COVID pandemic, I was stuck in this room every day. My day job is as a university professor, so I teach a lot students. And so during the pandemic, I was sat in this room teaching a lot. And between lessons and between the stress, I'd turn around and start playing over there just for my own fun, for a change. And I started recording some pop songs. And my students said, oh, they're quite good. Can we do some more? So I did some more. And I did maybe 60 cover versions over the pandemic period, so a year and a half in the UK. And then since then, I kind of carried on doing it. I've had 2 Christmas albums over the last couple of years where I've been raising money for charity. And in the last year, so since January this year, I've got a form online that my students and colleagues at work can suggest songs that I do. And this year, throughout 2023, I'm only doing songs that my students or my colleagues have suggested, which is interesting because,
Yes. They give you interesting songs to do. So how many do you get a week and how do you like execute one at each week? Like you do one at each week or?
I can't do one a week. No, one a week is too much. I tend to get one every couple of weeks. So I don't know what week we are in the year now, but I've posted, I think, 11 songs so far. And I post them all on SoundCloud. They're not for profit. They're just for fun. It's just a vanity project. So I'm sure, Tammy, you can share with your fans out there the SoundCloud link at some point, and people can go and have a listen to my tunes. It'd be great fun. But yeah, no, it's really good. It's really good, solid fun. And as you know, my backing tracks do sound quite nice from time to time, and it's quite nice to have me singing over the top of them as well. I really enjoy that. So yeah.
I love the new Ed Sheeran one you did. What was it called again?
That's called Bad Habits, and it's not out yet. You had a preview. You're very lucky.
Oops.
Yeah.
So sorry, I revealed it. But I really liked it.
It's great. No, it'll be released next week to my students. But at the moment, actually on the machine behind me, I'm currently working on a version of Believe, the Cher song.
Oh, I'm so
And
excited to
it's
hear
it's not going to
that.
sound anything like Cher, I can assure you. So
Yeah, well, you like to go polar opposite mostly,
yes,
which I actually prefer. I think that was one of the challenges of this album, and discussing with you and Josh, who was also an instrumentalist, was how can we make these songs still recognizable, but
yeah.
then also their own personalities, that it's a little bit different than what you have originally heard before, you
Absolutely.
know?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, carbon copies of cover versions are very easy to do. You know, you just listen to the original and play it back.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't appreciate that because they'd rather listen to the original artist sing it because that's the point. So to do a cover version and actually own it is actually quite a challenge. And obviously, the vocal performance is something I don't get involved in when it's in your work. But I think it's important that everything you do is slightly personal. And the music, I love just adding my own little twinkles. You've noticed I've got a little sounds I like adding quite a lot to tracks that make it sound mine. And obviously the vocal
Yes.
performance does the same as well. I've noticed that on the tracks that we worked on together for this album, you've added a little bit of Tammy in there, so it doesn't sound exactly like the original artist. You've added your own little bit to it. I think that's really important. I think it's important for all musicians, even if you are just strumming a guitar at home and singing along with your favorite songs. You've got to do your own little thing. Otherwise, you don't learn any tricks yourself. You just become
No.
a carbon
You
copy. Um,
That was probably the hardest part, is like the challenge of putting a character together for a particular song, because I'm all about, let's tell a story through song. It's not just a song to me, at
yeah.
least. So how do you put that together, and how do you and that was probably the most difficult part of the album, was finding the characters for each song. But then there are some songs that are so beloved
Mm.
in the Disney, especially, it's more of the Walt Disney World theme parks, so it's like it's catered to more of theme park fans, but they have grown up with these songs. So I get nervous because I also have two, but I'm like, am I going to live up to the hype? That was my nerve-wracking thing. So we're gonna find out.
No, well, absolutely. And something else I wanted to say is about lyrics as well, Tammy, because often when you cover a song, you have to sit there and read and study the lyrics to work out what the song's actually about. And I don't know
Yes.
about you. Obviously, the songs you've done in this album, you know very well. You chose them because you like them, because you know them. But I often find when I'm covering a song, I sit and read the lyric sheet and go, oh, that's what this song's about. It's not that hook that we all sing along to in the chorus. It's got a deeper meaning, and you think, I can't sing it like I've just sung it then. And I'm sure you found the same with these songs. You have a little sing along and go, no, I can't do it like that. That may be how the original artist did it, because that's how they interpreted it. But once you've listened to the lyrics yourself and worked them out, it all becomes a little bit different. I've started some songs that I've given up on because I just can't sing them. I just
I've done that too.
don't want to
I
sing the lyrics.
I've absolutely done that too. I'm like, oh, you know what? Maybe not. Sometimes they're just too vocally demanding, and you're like, I don't have the time and effort to put this through. So, oh, thank you, Bob. Bob says, make sure you subscribe and ring the notification bell. Yes, please. Here on the channel,
I already
and
have. Okay, I've subscribed already.
you're so sweet. And Bob, thank you. $10 to start on the third album. Oh boy. Well, let's not talk about that yet. Let's get a couple months out of this one, because it took a good 9 months for this baby to finally be born. But I appreciate it, Bob. I do have ideas in my head, and James is like, oh boy, not again. So
Sorry, I can't hear you there, Tammy. I think the connection's gone. Yeah, Bob, no.
well,
I was gonna say, Tammy, before you decide on a third album, how about we do a duet on one of the songs?
yes, can we do a
We
duet?
can
I
sing
would love that.
we can
We
sing
did
across the
one
pond.
for a Disney song, and then we never released it. Do you remember that?
Mm.
So that would be I would actually love to revisit that one in particular. You know what I mean? Even if that's like a part of the next album, because I don't want to go theme parks for the next album. I kind of want to do something different. So,
Mm.
but that would be wonderful, because I love your singing voice. So I will make sure I include the SoundCloud link in the show notes below, so you could take a look. But what's your website before we leave you?
Well, it's my company name, which I've had again for 30 years, is called Soundboard, SOUND-BOARD. And my website is pretty small. It's just a little description of what I do. But if people want to get in touch, they can go to sound-board.com and click on the chat, and you can send me a message.
My dad says, James, I think you will get some new clients after they hear this album.
Let's see.
I agree. And so says the album is great. Go get it. Thank you for your support. I'm glad you're enjoying it. So James has to get to bed because it's pretty late over in the UK. So thank you so much for joining us this evening. I appreciate it. And thank you for all of your hard work on the album. It just sounds fantastic. I love listening to it in my car because you get that surround sound and it's just booming. So bravo, James.
Thank you. And good luck with tonight, because you've got another hour and a half to go. So good luck tonight. I hope you have fun with the rest of the people that have worked on this. And you've worked really hard, and everyone's worked really hard. So it's good to see it finally come up. And I do have a copy. I got it today from the post office. I have received it. And there are some goodies in it I found, which are very nice. Thank you very much.
You're
but
welcome.
I need to find a CD player because I don't have one. So I'm looking
Not
for
even
one.
in your car? How dare you?
I'll find one, but I'm going to download it as soon as I get access and have a good old listen.
Well, we'll let you go, James. Enjoy the album and the CD when you can. And I'll see you soon. Bye, James.
Bye, guys.
And let's bring our next guest. She's actually holding her CD. Here she is, Catherine Lynch Myring.
Hi, darling. Look at this here. There it is. Oh my gosh.
We're
Hello,
twinsies.
dear.
Oh my
Yes,
gosh. Woohoo! We were just talking about you because James did the instrumental to Hellfire, and you are a featured soloist.
He was so amazing that I didn't know that it was James. So that was something I learned just tonight. Congratulations, James, wherever you are.
He's there. Here, let me pop him in. Say hi.
Hi, dear. Nice to see you.
I'm going to hang around until I start to fall asleep, and then I'll go to bed.
Oh.
Nice to see you, Catherine. Well done, Catherine. Great stuff.
Thank you, dear. I'm the angel.
I know.
Always.
Oh.
Bye, James.
Bye, James.
Let's actually play a clip of you performing. How's that? So I'm going to go ahead and remove us from the screen, and we're going to play just a little bit of Hellfire. Here we go. There she is, Catherine.
Hello, dear.
So brilliant, darling. And you know what? We have another special guest. I think he's working on getting his camera together. So I'm going to play his clip. He is the dream finder in our Journey into Imagination song, One Little Spark. So let's listen to that one as well, too. Here we go.
We all have sparks, imagination.
That's how our minds create creations. Right at the start of everything that's new.
One little spark lights up for you.
And that's for Patrick. Patrick, I don't think we can see you. Can you hear us?
I can. I'm trying to get the camera. Oh, here we go.
There he is. Hi, Patrick.
Hi, Catherine.
Hi. You sound great.
Thank you. You look great. Everybody looks so happy and nice and glowy.
Raw hair, raw.
It's so interesting. Places.
Yes. Catherine, you're in California. Patrick, you're in New York, and I'm in Philly. So we're all over the place.
We're a love triangle.
Now, it's really cool because I know both of you because of your Disney characters. You're attached to Disney characters themselves. So, Catherine, you are the bride in the Disneyland Paris version of the Haunted Mansion called Phantom Manor, and you're Melanie Ravenswood. And Patrick, you got to play the White Rabbit in the Adventures in Wonderland Disney Channel series. And you've done multiple things for Gary Marshall's films, too. We can't mention them all, but your key Disney character. So what's it like to be a Disney character? Why don't you start, Catherine?
Well, it's a weird kind of footnote in fame. What's it like? I have a lot of fans in France, and it's so astonishing to me. I did it like 26 years ago, and I still have a bunch of particularly young men really like it. I have these wonderful fans. They love me so much. It's nice. Plus, it's kind of fun. Here's a good story and a quick one. My daughter, when she was little, we would go to Disneyland, and my voice is in a number of places. I'm on a telephone, and I'm in Toontown. And she was little, and she'd look up at people and say, "That's my mom," and they'd go, "Right, little kid, yeah, right, yeah, right," and it really was. So a
I
tiny
didn't know
bit
you
of
were in
immortality.
Toontown.
I'm all over Toontown.
Boy, what a
I need to
gaslight.
listen.
That's my mom. No, it isn't. Yes, it is. No, it isn't. Yes, it is.
I'm the voice of a singing chicken in Toontown. I'm like giving voice lessons. I'm Clara Cluck. Going small claims to fame. Small claims. What about you, Patrick?
You could go through Disneyland. I don't know about Disney World, but Disneyland, because I grew up in Southern California, and with your eyes closed, and it would be completely satisfying day because there are so many funny voices coming out of windows and under rocks and stuff. And in the rides. I mean, it's just amazing.
I have a scream in the Tower of Terror.
It
was there, I had a phone call. One guy called me up in the sound department. "Hey, can you scream like a 14-year-old girl?" And I went, "I don't know." So off I screamed like a 14-year-old girl.
You
forever.
screamed.
I went, "Ah!"
What does the bride say?
Not much. She sings a lot of la 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 la. Ooh. Here's the thing, universal ahs, oohs, and ohs.
Okay.
Because they did some things. They did like Leota in French, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then they wanted to be really careful with the bride, I guess. I mean, I wasn't in on that brainstorm, but no words were spoken, only oohs and ahs. Well, ghosts, I don't know if they speak.
I don't think she speaks anywhere. She goes thump, 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 thump.
But here I get to moan a lot and whine.
Well, that's
No,
fun.
It's real. You got to listen to the full soundtrack. It's on YouTube of just, top to bottom, and it's beautiful. And it's John Debney. So he's known for Hocus Pocus. And I think he did the Princess Diaries, which you were in, Patrick. I think so.
Wow.
So there you go. Look, 6 degrees of separation right there.
6 degrees of Disney.
Yes.
Well, it all goes back to Disney.
Yeah, exactly.
And you got to work in the theme parks, though, Patrick.
Yes, I was just thinking, Catherine, you get to say you're a ride at Disneyland. But then again, I actually was a ride at Disneyland for a minute because when we were shooting Adventures in Wonderland there, before we moved to Studio City in LA, CBS Radford, we were like, Tammy, I think you went on this. They put, about this, they put a corridor up above the soundstage with a whole recorded walk along, and they got to watch us shooting down below. Oh. So we were a ride at Disney MGM, which is the theme park that's movie themed.
Was it soundproof?
I think, it must have been soundproof because you never know what might have been said on the set.
And how much they should have paid you.
Oh yeah, of course. It's just a given that we used to wave at them and
never see a dime. No.
But we were working so hard. That was such a hard show. We really only ever, it's always the fun, lighthearted, kid friendly, the fluffy shows that are really hard to do because it's hard to make everything look so easy.
It's better just to be a voice.
Yeah, I mean, because you get the freedom and you also, then you walk away. But they each have their ups and downs, I'm sure, but ups and downs because the voice. But Adventures in Wonderland was, by anybody's account in the show, one of the hardest jobs any of us ever did. Except maybe John Hoffman might not say that because John Hoffman just got to jump around and run. He was the Mad Hatter. He got to run around. But no, it was hard for even.
You didn't have fur on. You had fur, and you were on rollerblades.
I had fur and teeth and prosthetics, and my own mother wouldn't have recognized me, Catherine. It was really funny.
What, in Quit Showbiz?
I know. Exactly.
but it's so I'm so lucky and blessed because everybody who's appeared on the album has maybe appeared on my podcast or I've appeared on stage with them at some point in time. So both of you have been so gracious with your time over the past like 10 plus years I've been doing podcasting, and it's just been great to hear your stories. And I always like to mention to those who are watching the show now that you can take a look and take a listen to Patrick's interview. We actually did it with Armelia McQueen, the late Armelia McQueen, we miss her, who was also the Red Queen. And we talk a little bit more about Adventures in Wonderland specifically. And we talk a little bit more about Catherine's journey as Melanie. So I was so gracious and grateful that both of you agreed to be a part of the album. So Patrick, you had actually never been on the Journey into Imagination ride. So you had no idea, right? Or
yeah, that was after my time to, really have those kinds of rides be really formative and bonding for people, they're formative times. So I'm more like the kid that, I remember going through the parking lot on the way to Disneyland with the posters of the rides and, all excited. But so I didn't know anything about it. But when you played the orchestra, you sent me the orchestration that you had created, and it was so beautiful. It was so magical and beautiful. And I thought, well, this can't be bad. It's going to be so much fun. And plus, I always have fun with you. You're just fun anyway, Tammy. We laugh all the time. We just laugh.
We did. We had a good time. I think this particular track that you worked on with me is a little bit different than the others because we got the approval from Disney. I think for the first time anybody's had it, is that there are lyrics in the attraction that are different than the track that was released based on the Sherman Brothers lyrics. And so they said we could use the actual lyrics in the attraction because there's different rooms. So this is a little bit different in it. You're kind of sitting and listening to actually being in the ride. And I just remember, I never saw the original ride that we're basing this off of. But I just remember listening to it and just picturing what Dreamfinder and Figment looked like. So that was my concern, was like, I know it's very held to a high standard of Figment and Dreamfinder, but you had no previous background, so it wasn't as nerve-wracking for you.
No, but I did. I went online and looked to see if I could find anything on YouTube, and I did find someone recorded the ride going through and then eventually put it up on YouTube, which was helpful because I really had no concept of what it was we were talking about. And so I could see, okay, it's a conventional ride that I get it now. And you see that's that classic thing. You see the characters and pass through the room, and then here they are, they're lighting the bomb over here, and then here they are covered in soot around the corner, and in this case, soot, and glitter.
So yours is similar to what Catherine has. So Catherine's, you hear her throughout the attraction. So hers, that was the original version of the not the Hunchback, of Haunted Mansion. But Catherine, we worked on Hellfire, which is probably one of the most controversial Disney songs in the repertoire, to the point where I was like, I don't think we should use a derogatory word that's in the film because it doesn't make any sense. And Disney allowed us to remove it, but we couldn't replace it with anything. So that's the only major difference. But then, I wanted you to be the angel voice to my hellish voice.
Well, I thought it was brave of you, really, to have it in a female voice. I thought that was very current and very beautifully sung, by the way, Tammy. These are the things that you don't know. Tammy reached out to me on the internet. Would you do this? I don't know how to do this camera thing. Would you do this thing? Would you do my Tiara talk all those years ago? And I had no idea who she was. And then to have known her now for so many years, I was 12 when we met. To have known her all this time, and then to hear her sing, and then you always pray. Somebody says, "Oh, I'm a singer," and you just go, "Oh, please be good." She's not good. Yeah. She's great. You really
she's
have
great.
A
you are
great
great, Tammy. You do. You really could record, and also, it's you've got it going on because you were able to capture the thing you wanted to capture. You didn't just cover it. You captured it.
Yeah.
And that's what I was very impressed with that. When I heard the whole thing put together, I was very impressed with that. That really
and
did.
Your voice, the vocal production. Did you have teachers, Tammy? Did you study? Are you a studied girl?
I really never studied. I remember my first time seeing performers was at the theme parks, and I just wanted to be them. I wanted to be those kids of the kingdom when they used to have them at Magic Kingdom. It was just these young people just dancing and singing live. This is when it was still done live and a live band. And I just wanted to be up on that. Like my dad has film footage of it, which is embarrassing, but I just wanted so badly to be in these shows. So I think that was my main inspiration in the sing-along tapes. And at watching Adventures in Wonderland, I have like my tapes right here, my VHS tapes. They're all behind me.
The VHS tape. There they are.
I can't let go of them.
Too. No,
I love them. So, like, I think that's where I pulled from, and just kind of impersonating some of the voices I heard, because sometimes I have my covers that are on YouTube, and my Jessica Rabbit one has 7 million hits because people think it's the original thing, and I'm like, it's not, it's me, but thank you. So it's
but
really
that's
cool.
great.
I know. I wish Spielberg would call.
I know what's holding him up.
He probably give you the bill. Don't ask him. Don't get him. No.
Does he have the wrong number? Does he have the correct number, Tammy?
I don't know. I keep hoping.
Tammy.
Who knows?
They can't do West Side Story. It's already been done.
I know, but he did. Hook was an original musical, and apparently there's rumors that they might do something with it soon. So I would love to see what they had done with that. And it's so funny I mentioned that because Patrick, I got to see you perform for the first time in person when you were in Peter Pan as me.
Yeah, that's right.
I was a kid. I was a baby.
Were we touring through Philly?
Like
yes.
Peter Pan Live or something?
Okay. We did. I toured with Peter Pan with Kathy Rigby, the musical.
Oh,
and we toured for about 2 years on across the country in New York and then back and everything. And I was Mr. Smee. And that's another one. It's like that's a light, frothy, fluffy show that flies by and the kids are completely enraptured from the downbeat of the overture. They're like this. That's a funny thing because just as a little side note, I used to always laugh because I wasn't in the first act in the musical of Peter Pan in that traditional version. The whole first act is in the nursery setting up the story, and then they fly away, and that's the first intermission. And so I would come out to the lobby and just watch the people coming in, because when little kids come to the theater, they don't just take off their coats and stuff. They take off their coats and they put on their wings and they put on their eye patches and they get ready with their hooks and they got to get put on their pirate hats and everything. And so it's a whole thing. And they'd be chattering and jammering, and then the overture would start. And they'd be like this.
Aww.
And then until we asked them to clap for Tinkerbell, they really clapped. It was not like ordinary children's theater. It was such a beautiful show that they were just completely tranced, which was really amazing.
And the show that we went to see, you did a talk back after with the crocodile. So it was you and the crocodile. So we got to ask you questions. I don't remember what my question was, but I was just like, and then I looked at you in the program. I was like, oh my God, he's in the Princess Diaries and Adventures in Wonderland. But we never got to meet you. But then we met you a couple years later when you were doing Can. So that was really cool.
You told me that, but I forgot that.
It's been so long. That's the problem. I'm like, I can't believe it's been that long.
Yeah, now our fans from Adventures in Wonderland, I mean, the kids that grew up with the show are now in their mid-30s, I believe. No, they'd be
pretty much
their late 30s, actually, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Because if they were truly alive when the show was at, I was not. But Disney released these VHS tapes of your show, and you were at the Epcot Pavilion. Remember at the end, I think I sent you a clip. It was Spaceship Earth. They had like this talking segment where it was like the newfound Alexa, Alexa, do this, and it was with the Adventures in Wonderland characters. So we have like footage of that, but that was really cool too. So just an honor to get to perform with both of you. I hope one day we get to perform in person together. But this was such a blessing and yes, we got to go on tour. That's my dream.
Oh my God, Tammy Tuckey's. Let's do it.
Tammy Tuckey's Carnival. Everyone invited. The circus is in town. Let's go.
Oh my gosh. Can you imagine? Oh, it would be so much fun. That would be the dream. You know what I mean?
400
we did
rollerblading rabbits
Would
coming
you
out
be
of a
willing?
clown car.
I want to fly like a ghost. I want to fly. Woo!
I
Yes.
want to go backstage. I want to go backstage at the haunted house. I always wanted to go backstage at the haunted mansion. And I almost
be
got
brilliant.
to. I almost got to when we were working in Florida, but I was too tired. It was our day off, and I was too tired.
I've gone backstage at Haunted Mansion. I've gone backstage at the Pirates of the Caribbean.
Oh,
And
nice.
it's just a
love.
magical experience. It's so, and even backstage of the Splash Mountain, that's now something else. But yeah, that's fun too. That's a great
Yeah,
experience.
those things are fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
Another
And you're
cool thing of magic, you know what I mean? Patrick, we got to get you into a Disney ride because now Catherine's been a ride for 20 years plus.
Armelia
25,
is-
25.
Armelia is the voice of excuse me,
salute.
Bless you.
pollen
Uh-oh.
allergies. Pollen allergies.
Super
Everything's in bloom in New York. Armelia McQueen is the voice of the goddess in the Tiki Room in Disneyland.
Oh my
She's no
gosh.
longer there, but
Oh,
she's in Trader Sam's the bar, so you can get a drink called the Aoa, and it lights on fire, and then you hear her laugh. So they use her laugh still. So when I go back in October, I'll film it and I'll FaceTime you. I'll be like, Patrick, she's here.
Okay.
And Walt Disney World, I was in a drinking fountain once where if you took a drink out of the water, it would say, "Oh, that was great. Could you send down a twist of lime?" I was in a talking drinking fountain.
That's hilarious.
Where was that? Now I gotta find out where
it was near some technical pavilion. I visited it once, and there I was slurping away.
I got excited when I passed by a cutout of me as the rabbit. I stuck my face in, and
Remember I sent you that? Like that was on the backlot tour, and I was just going through backlot tour footage because I'm weird, and I was like, "Oh my god, they had a stand of the Adventures in Wonderland."
I remember. I mean, I'd forgotten all about it when you sent it, and I was like, "Oh my god!" But it was so funny to stumble across it. On your lunch break, you're walking through not your lunch break, your day off or whatever. You're walking through the park, and it's like
you're like, "I'm there. I'm a cutout." That's the coolest thing ever. Oh my god, I can't even imagine what they still have behind the scenes of like from that set and the costumes and things. I would love to get into the
from
archives.
all
to
the
see what the
sets.
heck they have.
Think about all the iconic things we've seen in Disney movies. They probably have there's all in. Well, they reuse a lot of the stuff like that gets reused periodically.
I'm wondering if it had been. Poor Catherine, she's like, I don't even know. I will send you clips. It's on Disney Plus. So if you ever want to watch Adventures in Wonderland, it's a fun show.
I do.
It's still
now
fun.
that
It's
I know
not just for
Patrick,
kids.
I can't wait.
Yeah. Oh boy, are you in for? You won't. I dare you to find me. Well, now you know who I'm playing. So we gave a spoiler alert.
Well, go to
thank
Disneyland. Listen for me warbling away somewhere in Paris. Actually, let's all go to Paris. Ooh.
Oh,
Okay.
please. I've always wanted to go and see it because I just love
It's
the score.
It's magnificent. It is I've been to 3 of the haunted mansions. I don't know. Do they have a haunted mansion in Tokyo?
Yes,
All of
but
them,
it's
yes.
called something. It's different.
I've been to
It's
3.
Manor.
I've been to the LA, the Anaheim, and I've been to the one in Florida, and I've been to the one in Paris. And not because I'm singing, but that Paris ride is fantastic. It has a whole concept. It's much different than
Story.
the other ones.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
Miss Havisham meets the ghost, and it's a beautiful ride.
Yeah,
They're
they're very, very clever about how they listen to the culture they're going into
Yeah.
and incorporate the rides so that they're going to have the same kind of effect in that culture that they, I love
I'm
that.
kind of
Yeah.
bummed they didn't call you Catherine for the new Haunted Mansion movie because you can clearly see the bride in it, but I think they're taking away from the killer bride at the Florida one. So, but I'm like, come on, you could have.
I had a lot of fans at the 25th anniversary of the ride. Disney thought they'd be new and fresh, and they would change some of the music and they would cut certain things. And the fans went crazy. The changes were universally hated. They went on strike. They complained so much in France because, again, the French don't like to change one word of their language. They have whole bureaus that won't let change happen to the French language. They went so crazy over these changes, which were minimal, I thought. and they reinstated the old version.
Yes.
I had
with
people
Vincent
calling
Price.
me.
Amazing.
I had people calling me and writing me. They were in tears. They've taken away your beautiful song. And I said, guys, that's 25-year run. I did okay. And I said, Christina Aguilera will sing this one day. Come on, get over it. They did
Heaven
not
help us. No, just kidding.
no, she's a great singer. I was reinstated. Yes. They put it right back to the pristine original.
Thank goodness they did. But you guys are both so beautifully talented, and thank you guys I really appreciate you being on the album. And a reminder, if you guys want to win a copy of the album, yay, twinsies! You can go to the link that is below. That's on the raffle copter. I'm going to post it in the comment section on YouTube, and you might have some other goodies that might come with it too. And cannot wait for everybody to hear this. Thank you both so much.
Nice to meet you, Patrick.
Bye, guys.
Same here, Catherine. Really a pleasure. Tammy, thank you.
Congratulations, Tammy. You're amazing.
Always great to see you.
Go be a star.
You guys are amazing too. I love it. Thank you. I'll see you guys soon. Bye. And let's bring on our next crew from the Main Street USA. You'll hear them singing along with Stu, Nunnery, and I. So let's play a little clip of them singing.
The time of your life, you ought to find yourself here. You're welcome anytime you have the mind to appear. Come on, we're right down the middle of Main Street, USA.
So let's introduce some of those singing talents you hear. First, let's introduce Emily.
Oh, hello.
Emily's like, me first.
I thought we'd all be together in a Brady Bunch style.
We're going to do it. So, and then here's Terry, my sister.
All right.
Hey, can you hear us, Terry? You're muted. I think she's frozen. She's waving. And my dad.
Hello.
Hey, Dad.
The Tuckey family.
Hello.
We have half of the crew, and we recorded this back in November at a recording studio, at Brendan's recording studio. So, Emily, why don't you go first and what you thought of the experience of being in a recording studio before? Have you ever been a part of a recording session like this before?
No, I don't think so. No, not like, no. And that recording studio that was cool. I love the Hooters history of the place. I mean, it was really like, it had the retro look, but it was still modern. So it was really fun. That was a surprise, I think. That was fun. That really was.
Dad, what did you think? Because had you ever recorded in a recording studio? I don't think you have.
Well, no. Remember, we did the Hunt the Bear.
Oh, the Country Bear Jamboree. Yes, we did. I can't believe that's from the first album. I completely forgot. Yeah, we did that.
Not only did we record, it was also filmed too. So it was kind of neat.
Yes. We did a video for that one. I wanted to do a video for this one, but we didn't have the time. And then Terry, can you still hear us? Are you still there?
Terry.
I don't know if it's delayed.
Terry's frozen.
But she's pretty as a picture. So let's talk about the song itself. Had any of you have heard it before? Or Emily?
Okay. I hadn't heard it before, but it was one of those songs that I didn't think I heard it before, but it was one of those songs where I was like, have I heard it before? It feels like something that is deep in your memory. Like I know that from somewhere. Or, you know what I mean? That's how it felt.
It sounded like something we'd hear on Main Street, but I didn't remember. And as a matter of fact, we had, because the guys sang their part separate from the ladies, we had no idea of the harmony that was going on either. So the harmony worked out so well. Mm-hmm. Terry, try refreshing your screen.
I think she's frozen, so I'm gonna pull her off. I think she'll join back in. But yeah, that was the other thing, is like we could have recorded all together, but it just sounded like it wasn't going to work because we had a limited amount of time to learn the song and sing it in the recording studio. but you saw in that picture that we all got to spend time together and be able to hear each other. So finally, when the album came out, because some of you guys joined us for the cabaret event like we had last week. But a lot of you guys got to listen to the CD and listen to the track ahead of time, because I wanted to hear what your thoughts were on the final production altogether. So because I believe this is the closing track on the album. Yes, I think it is.
Yeah.
I should know by now, but there it is. Main Street USA. And you guys are all featured in the booklet too. It says all your names because you guys are so darn talented. But what did you think of the final mix of it? Because as you said, Dad, you finally heard the harmony. So what were your thoughts?
Well, I was actually shocked how they were able to make it sound like there was a whole crowd of us singing, rather than the few amounts. What were there? 4 men and 4 women? Was that what it was?
I think it was a little more.
I think it was more women. I think we're about 6 girls, 4 guys. I chimed in for both just in case to kind of lead, which was fun. It was still a blast. You know what I mean?
But it was great. It was great how they were able to make it sound like there's a lot of us. So to make it more crowd sound. And I thought it sounded pretty impressive.
I can't wait to hear it.
Oh, you didn't get the downloaded track?
Nope. I will.
Oh, Emily, I'm so sorry. I thought I emailed it to you.
It's okay. I'm sorry.
Did I give you a
sorry,
CD?
I missed it last week. No, not yet. I'm gonna buy one. Don't worry. I'll get one.
Oh, no. I'm giving you one. We're gonna go out to dinner and then I'm bringing one to you. There she is, Terry.
Yeah, that's better.
Sorry about that. Also, I think Emma's waiting to get in. I just got a message from her.
No, she's in the wrong link.
Okay.
So
I will message.
Emma, you're in the wrong link if you can hear us.
Look above. I'm just saying look above.
But
she's in another link when we tested the whole system, because we have to test sometimes. It doesn't always work for everybody. But Terry, what were your thoughts on being back in the recording studio, because you were in the great outdoors?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, especially with this song. I remember this song when we were growing up at Disney as well. So using our own rendition of the song for the album was really neat to sing and be a part of, especially in a group setting with everyone. So it was definitely cool an experience.
Had you met Emily before, Terry? Or is this?
I did not. I met, I think, everyone for the first time except for maybe 3 people. But yeah, I know you had met through theater, I believe, right?
Oh, we used to work together. We both work in senior living, so that's how we got to know one another. And I didn't know. Emily told me she was a singer, and I was like, "Oh, great!" I said, "Great. Well, can you join and hang out and spend time with us?"
And when I met you, I had no idea of your projects. You're a very impressive Tammy Tuckey. Love it. Love it.
I was so glad you agreed to join in and have fun with this, because I don't feel like a lot of people get a chance to be in the recording studio, and it's such like a special moment,
It's very cool.
It's different, right?
It really is. It really is. I mean, I've recorded on marching band fields and in people's basements, but never a real recording studio. So that was very cool.
Yeah. Well, what do you guys think of just Main Street in general? When we went through the song, did you hear anything particularly, something that you really liked featured in the song? I know that we had several different harmonies, and then Emily, when you hear it, the original songwriter Stu, who's going to join us in a couple minutes, he wrote the song in particular. But was there anything specifically you liked the most out of the song when we were recording it?
It's a fun group song. So I mean, it's the first time I ever heard it that I know of, but it's just a fun song. Sorry for the non-specific. It's been a while. It's been a few months.
It's been since November, so I don't blame you.
2 things I remember. It was the tap number, which I thought was really interesting. Like I can just envision it in my mind. And then also the layering of us singing. So us continuing to sing over and over again. And then, the layering of all the harmonies together, I thought was really neat.
I thought especially now when I hear the song, I visualize all of us dressed up in the outfits, the costumes that you would see on Main Street, and us, I guess, dancing down Main Street. That's what I visualize when I hear it. It throws us right into Disney World or Disneyland on Main Street, and how it must have been when he wrote that song, and it was first performed on Main Street, and it just must have been so neat. And it threw me right back in time, especially now when I listen to it. Emily, you'll find that too. When you hear the song, you're just gonna get this great picture in your head. He says, "That's us." Wow, it sounds just like it was recorded by the Disney Studios themselves. It's just so impressive.
Very cool.
Did Emma find us?
Sometimes it reminds me. No, I think she's having some technical difficulties, but that's okay. We're still rolling with the punches. But I was just gonna say that when I hear the song on Main Street when we go to the theme parks, I just imagine the smells of the coffee and the candy and the corn dogs. Like there's so many different. Yes.
The cooking nuts.
Yeah.
But more particularly, it's not all the scents all at once. It's one at a time as you walk down Main Street. That it's not all yeah.
Well, maybe one of these days we'll all get to fly out again. I'm just taking away from my previous conversation with Catherine and Patrick. If Spielberg decides that he wants to film some music videos, we have a ton right here. That would be really cool. I think he would have it. It's so cool to walk down Main Street. I think like a lot of people forget that when a lot of people go to Magic Kingdom specifically only, and your introduction to the park is Main Street. So that this song is still a part of that, of Main Street after all these years of being there since the 80s. You know what I mean? It sounds so timeless too, because I never knew it was like in the 80s is when Stu wrote it, you know? So I love that they still have it and they continue to use it. So but guys, I really appreciate you being a part of the album and performing on it. Do you have any projects that you guys want to announce, or you have a YouTube channel or something that the listeners and everybody who's watching can go to and keep up to date with you?
I do not have a YouTube channel. No, I'm more shy than you are, Tammy. But I did recently rejoin something that I did a long time ago, and we are preparing for 2024. I used to be in a drum corps, so I rejoined it for the alumni corps, and we are going to go to Indianapolis with 450 of us and perform at the Lucas Oil Stadium in 2024, and maybe the Rose Parade. They've invited us to the Rose Parade too. So I'm revisiting my not childhood but teen years, I guess. So, oh boy!
I can't wait to hear more.
That's all good.
Terry, you have a photography page you want to mention?
I do. It is called Terry Tuckey Photography. It is on Facebook, and then I also have social media as well. Instagram I'm more active with. It's Terry Tuckey.
Nice.
And finally, last but not least, Mr. Todd Tuckey.
Well, I do have a channel, but I don't have as many views as Tammy. So, but I do have about 43,000 subscribers. Yeah, we have about 15 million views now, but over a lot of videos. I have over 2,500 videos posted. So it's TNTamusements.com right here. So easy to find. We sell pinball machines.
Emily says that he wants you to start a channel.
Yay! Hi, Gert. I love the Netherlands.
Oh, wait, hold on. There she is, Emma. Like, you literally joined us in the last couple of seconds. How are you?
Emma.
Hi. Can you hear us?
Yeah, it's distorted.
We're doing good. How are you? We're so glad to see you. We're actually about to wrap up, but Emma, what was your favorite part of recording the song?
Just like having the experience of being in like the studio and like it was like really fun just like doing it.
I'm so glad you were there. It's always a great experience. Like your first time you get to do something like that, you know? So I'm so glad you got to join and be a part of it. And wait, hold on. Brian, who was also a part of it, couldn't make it on the live stream tonight, but he says, I'm so sorry I couldn't make it, but being part of this album was a lot of fun, and congrats to Tammy and all on the great result. Thank you, Brian. We're saying hello. Hello. A lovely Val says, Emma, please find the link. Oh my goodness. Well, I'm so glad we got to talk to all of you guys tonight. Thank you so much for joining the show, and also being a part of the album. It's been a blessing. So have a good evening, you guys.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
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 See you later.
Views.
Whoops, I'm clicking buttons, and I shouldn't be clicking buttons just yet. So I just, as a friendly reminder, we have the link to go ahead and enter our giveaway contest so you can win your copy of Glowing in Timeless Places, and some other special giveaway items that I'll include as well too. So our next couple of guests, so let's play some clips so you can hear them perform. We have somebody who's actually returning from the first album, You'll Find Me on Main Street. So let's play a little clip of her performing.
In your heart there's a place, a magical space where it all begins. With your mind as a guide, you light up inside and it starts to spin.
So let's bring in Allie Omo.
How are you, Tammy?
Doing good. How are you?
Good. It was good to see your dad.
I know he's a big fan of yours. Hold on. He's still there. Dad, you want to say hi? I don't know. It says he's still there, but I guess it's frozen.
I don't see
sorry.
him. That's okay. That's okay.
He loves Two Brothers, and that's what you're most notably known as, is singing the song Two Brothers from the American Adventure. So yes. And we got to do that for the first album. So doing another Epcot song is such a joy. But now we're joined by another talent. So let me go ahead. Oh wait, there he is. He just wants to say hi.
So and we got to do that for the first album.
You gotta mute yourself. You can hear me again. Okay, bye, Dad.
Bye, Dad.
So, and now let's introduce our next guest. Let me bring up a clip of, you're going to be able to hear her sing as well, too. Here we go. Let's see if it plays.
A new world where dreams come true. Brand new world for me and you.
And that was Sally Stevens. Let's welcome Sally to the show.
Good afternoon. Good evening.
Yes.
How nice to see you both.
Hi, Sally.
Hi, Allie. Sally and Allie.
Yeah.
The great duo right here, because you're both, it's so interesting because Epcot just celebrated 40 years of being open, and you both are opening day singers basically for the theme parks. You know, Sally, you got to sing Tomorrow's Child for Spaceship Earth, and Allie, you're featured in the American Adventure for Two Brothers. So let's talk about that first. You know, Allie, we still hear you in the parks. Sally, unfortunately, they removed the song for whatever reason. Yeah. I miss it there. But what is it like to know that you were heard by millions upon millions of people who've just walked through those doors of Epcot?
It's mind-boggling. It's pretty crazy. I had no idea that, you know, way back then when I moved to Los Angeles, that being my first gig ever, that it would be something that would still be playing to this day. I had just absolutely no clue. So it's pretty amazing. Yeah, it's unbelievable.
It's wonderful. It's a gift for me because every so often it will pop up on YouTube and someone will have a comment that it's brought back a childhood memory, or they talk about how important it was in their childhood to be a part of the Disney experience and to remember that ride. And it's just lovely that that music stays in people's minds, in our hearts and our minds.
And I was a huge Disney fan, so it was like I couldn't believe it, that I was going to the Disney studios to record, and it worked.
The golden ticket.
Yeah, it was incredible. Yeah, it was. Yeah,
and they love you so much, Allie. They take you from Walt Disney World. You're still there, but they also put you in Disneyland in the updated Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln, and it's like, wait, what? It's like, great, fantastic.
Yeah.
And updated stereo too. Like it sounds, when we were there in September, my dad and I were just like, oh my gosh, like they updated it. It sounded so crisp and clear. I was like, oh, beautiful. That's another reason I was so bummed. Like, I always would listen when they would release, like every 10 years or something like that, they would release an album to highlight the music of the theme parks, and they didn't do anything for the 50th anniversary of Walt Disney World, which is curious. Remastering and reissuing things, and I would, oh my gosh, I would just love to hear a remastered version of Tomorrow's Child and Two Brothers. You know what I mean? I just think, and that's how I got to know you, both of you, singing wise, because I would hear these on cassette tapes and CD, but I never got to experience your song, Sally, in the theme parks ever. But when I hear the song, it's so nostalgic for me, because it's the sound of Epcot to me,
My goodness.
And you just released a book too, right, Sally? Can you tell us the title of it and where we can find it?
I bet I'd love to. Thank you. It's called I Sang That. And it's a memoir from Hollywood. It's basically about the music business over the last 60 years, because that's how long I've been doing it. And you can order it online from Amazon or Barnes & Noble online, or Atmosphere Press from their website.
And it's wonderful.
Oh, thank you.
I enjoyed reading it so much, especially knowing Sally. But I didn't know so many things, and she has sung on just incredible amount of movies that you have seen, that that boggles my mind.
Well, thank you very much. I've been really, really lucky, and I'm grateful, and I've gotten some very nice feedback about the book, so that pleases me too. I'm glad people are enjoying it. It's the music business, as you know, Allie, has changed so much over the last few decades. And how it's done, and where it's being done, and the style of everything's changed. So it's kind of a look back on the previous decades.
How long did it take you to write it?
Well, I've gone to the writing workshops at the University of Iowa for the last it would have been 23 years had they not been canceled these last couple of years for the pandemic. So I've always loved writing, and I've taken poetry, fiction, memoir, and plays, and all that stuff. And I had a few chapters that I maybe had written for a workshop along the way through the years. But the pandemic was a great time to get this all together and get some feedback and figure out how to put it together time-wise. And so most of it, I would say, was already written, just from over the years of dabbling in the memoir workshops. But it took maybe 3 months or so to get the feedback and process it and edit it myself and get it to the publisher.
And you guys had known each other before we even started working on this particular song, We've Just Begun to Dream. How did you guys get to meet each other?
Do you remember, Allie? It must have been on a session or.
Well, I just remember you from from going to singers meetings, first of all, years ago. But then we actually worked together on that movie with Dwayne Johnson, Faster, where we were in a gospel choir.
Yes.
And then you hired me to come and sing a demo for your it was a Cuban song.
Oh, right. Yeah, was that for Simpsons or?
For the Simpsons, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh.
But no, I remember. I knew you and met you from way back from meetings. Singers meetings that we would all go to.
I know we've known each other for a long time, and you know that Tammy, the singer community here in LA, and I'm sure this is true everywhere where there is a group of people working in music. It really does become like a family, and we see each other at meetings, we see each other at union gatherings and events and sessions, and we maybe we'll stand next to each other in a choir, and it just begins to feel like family after a while.
And we both knew the wonderful composer Perry Botkin.
Oh, yes.
We're friends of Perry's. Actually, his birthday, I think, is just coming up.
I think
I think it may be the 16th. Perry Botkin wrote "Bless the Beast and the Children," Tammy.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful song.
I don't think I've ever heard of it before.
Oh, gosh.
It's from the film. I can't remember the name of the film now, Allie. But he also wrote the theme that became the
Yes.
Olympics theme.
Nadia's theme.
Nadia's theme from
Oh,
one of
okay.
the soap operas.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, you'll have to look him up.
Yeah.
Is he still
amazing.
around or?
No, he passed away.
He passed away about a year and a half or two.
Yes.
Oh, recently. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Sweet man. Really
Well, I'm glad you documented your experience, Sally, because I think yours is such a unique experience, being a part of so many things and getting to sing with so many talented, wonderful individuals. And I was just so lucky and honored that both of you were going to be part of the opening track to the album, because I feel like, in particular, everybody's huge fans of Epcot, and I don't like to cover Epcot songs unless I know. I usually like have somebody sing along with me, because I don't like to do it by myself. I did Tomorrow's Child and New Horizons, and I a lot of people love that, but I was like, I really want to do something where I can do it with two other talented individuals. So when you guys said yes, I was like, yay! And I know this was a hard one to do, because in particular this song, You've Just Begun to Dream, only played once at Epcot on opening day. So the fact that we were able to cover it only because for some reason they used a segment of it at Disneyland Paris years later, for whatever reason, that was like our little loophole into recording it. So there's no sheet music. It's all something you have to learn by ear, and it's difficult. You know what I mean? Especially when I'm not a sheet music person. Like, I have to hear it by ear, and it's difficult to read music in general.
I'm just the opposite. I have to put it on the page, so I get lost if I'm trying. I have to share this with you, Allie. I've already told Tammy, but I did not realize until I got the CD in my hand and was looking at the list of songs and the credits and the writers and everything. My ex-husband Jack wrote the song that we sang.
You're kidding me. I'm looking at it right now. Wow.
Jack Eskew. And he was very involved with these so many years have flown by that I'm trying to remember whether it was the opening of Epcot or the opening of Adventureland, but I think it must have been Epcot, because that was, you said, Tammy, that was the song that was sung at the Epcot opening.
Yes.
Yeah.
Amazing.
He was.
Who would have known?
Small world.
Yeah.
Wow.
Pretty
and
amazing.
I was not involved with him and the music. I had worked with him a bit for Disney projects, but not on that project. I didn't recognize the song as having anything to do with him. So that was really fun to see it on the album.
And we have Brian, who is a featured singer in the choir for Main Street USA. He says the Carpenters recorded that too, didn't they?
I was going to say yes. Karen Carpenter recorded "Bless the Beast and the Children."
Yeah,
it's a beautiful song.
Yes,
Karen has a beautiful voice. I'd love to hear that. I have it on my list now
Yes.
of things I need to listen to. So, in particular, do you hear a lot from Epcot fans in general about your performances?
There's a lot of comments on YouTube. That's where I see it primarily or hear it. Allie, do you?
Yeah, no, I as Tammy knows, I'm not an internet person. So unless I go to the site and see something, I don't have a web page or anything like that. So I don't know about it. She'll tell me.
And technically, you guys are unsung heroes. They don't really highlight who sings these songs in particular, but people find out and they post it online. So that was just the joy of being able to get to know both of you through my podcast originally and hear your stories, because some people are not as lucky in general, because they never have their name officially attached to it. I guess that's the other
Right.
problem. So but I guess everybody loved you guys too much that somebody had to find. They were like, we got to find out who it is.
That's pretty typical of everything we do as quote unquote session singers, that we're not credited very often.
But your work like lives on, and it just makes me think sometimes when I listen to Tomorrow's Child, Sally, I go, I wonder where these children are. Because it was 40 years ago y'all recorded this. I'm like, they probably have their own kids. They probably
Yeah.
have grandkids by now. I'm so curious as to how they selected that choir. And gosh, I wish they had pictures of you guys in your recording sessions. I feel like that would have been amazing, unless the archive, maybe Disney Archive has something, that would be really cool. But can you imagine?
Yes.
I would love to hear you guys. I know, Allie, you never sang the song live until we did it a couple years ago, right?
Right. Yeah. And at the time, I didn't even realize that was a song that Sally had sung. When you asked me to learn that medley that you put together of Tomorrow's Child and
New Horizons. Yeah.
New Horizons, right. I had no idea that was a song of Sally's. So that was very cool to learn that as well.
Sally, have you ever sung Tomorrow's Child live before?
No.
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 Well, Disney, maybe you should give a ring, fly Sally out, because Epcot, the Spaceship Earth is still there, thankfully.
Yeah.
I think that's another thing Spaceship Earth needs desperately, is that song back, because it's just such an uplifting piece. I feel like I was just saying at my cabaret last week, because I did the Tomorrow's Child New Horizons as my last song, and I just said to the audience, I feel that we have so much negativity in this world, and I think the reason Epcot's legacy from 1982, like early 80s, lives on is because the future was a positive thing, and change was a positive thing, and there really wasn't anything, not that you're looking at everything completely with wide eyes, but it was just a way to say, well, we can also add to that, you know what I mean? So I kind of wish they would bring it back in some retrospect, maybe one of these days.
Well, the song itself is very moving when you really listen to the lyric. It's hopeful and inspiring. And
well, Brian wants to know, what are you guys doing on October 1st? Because they're doing Retro Magic, what Allie and I did.
Oh.
So they might want you to sing live, Sally. Maybe I can get you in touch with Brian. That would be really cool. And then you could come sell your books.
Oh,
they have like a meet and great afterwards that they're adding now. So
yeah, that'd be great fun. I'll standing by.
Brian, as long as Sally's okay with it, I'll send you her email address.
Sure.
And we'll connect you guys. That would be really cool.
Absolutely.
That would
and
be
maybe
cool.
I could finally meet you. That would be so cool.
Yes. Tammy, it's funny. I was thinking before I joined you, I was just kind of thinking, now, what other, we did so much work out here for parades at Disneyland or Disney or Disney World, but they were for a particular event or a holiday or something, so they weren't part of the rides. But I remembered when they redid some of the vocals for the It's a Small World ride, and we got to do, there was a little French school out here that I was able to put together a kids choir that spoke French. So we redid the vocals for that, and I think we did. So I was just trying to think of not the parades, but the permanent venue projects, or what do you call them? I don't even know, but the regular things. So that
the regular rides.
Thank you.
Yeah.
When was that, Sally?
Well, I was trying to remember. That's the hard part always, is remembering when. It had to have been in maybe the mid 90s.
Okay. That's interesting. So they kind of updated it then. I love hearing the stories about how they update
Mhm.
some of the music and material along the way, to add
Yeah.
more to it. So
Yeah.
that's fascinating.
I think they
Again,
expanded the ride at that time maybe or something, but they wanted to get some of the languages into in addition to the English.
I love that. Did you hear that they added a new character to It's a Small World who it's representing the handicapped community. There's a child in a wheelchair who's now featured
Oh,
in the attraction.
Oh,
how
well.
lovely. How sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. I think inclusion is so important, and
Yes.
especially with Disney history, with music wise, I feel
Mhm.
like and Imagineering. There were so many men who were featured and noted for their work, and I just love to get to talk to individuals like you because, it was a different time, right? But
Mhm.
you guys really had the chance to shine and make such an impact with your work, and I
Mm.
feel like not a lot of people highlight that. So that's why I'm thrilled Sally wrote a book about it too, because you face a lot of trials and tribulations, but the material like lasts forever and ever. So it's one of those really cool things. I love it. So, and you guys got to record in the studio for this particular song. So I have some pictures I'll be sharing along the way. Well, as the album, we officially released it today,
Yes.
but some really cool behind the scenes pictures. I can't thank you guys enough for being able to work on this song because this one was not one of the easiest
Well,
to sing.
I can't thank Allie enough for helping me because it was an approach to recording that was so different from what I normally do that I was like, oh, what do I do? How do I do this?
You guys
Well,
were
I wanted to say, the album is beautiful, Tammy, and I was just looking at the second song on there, One Little Spark, the Shermans wrote, and I remember I got to meet Richard Sherman a few years back. I took I had a little wonderful neighbor who passed away last year, but she called them the boys because they had an office down the hall from where she worked for a publisher.
Wow.
And she could hear them, learning, playing their songs, and she always, oh, the boys are at it again. and he actually, we met him after the show, and he remembered her and everything. It was so cool.
How sweet.
So I'll have to see if I can
Wow.
find that picture of that and send it to you.
Please. Now
Yeah.
that's a story. See, like everybody knows everybody at some point or another. That is so great. Yeah, Richard's
Yeah.
such a sweetheart. And if you haven't seen the documentary The Boys, it's called The Boys, the Sherman Brothers story. Their
Oh,
son.
no, I haven't.
Oh, it's brilliant. It's on Disney Plus, and it's just so good. It's beautiful. I have it
Great.
on DVD somewhere around here on my little my little cupboard. But I thank you guys so much for being a part of the album. It just sounds so brilliant. Just encouraging all of our listeners and those who are watching now, please go ahead to tammytuckey.com/order, and you can. It's not pre-order any, and it's out officially. So you can stream it on Spotify. You can ask Alexa to play it. You can support the album and purchase a CD copy, which you will receive this beautiful little prize. There's a booklet inside that includes the lyrics to my original piece cinematic, and then also pictures from my trips to Disney that are relevant to the songs that you will hear. So I really hope you can go ahead and purchase a copy or purchase a digital copy on Amazon and iTunes and hear these wonderful ladies. It's just so cool the way Brendan, who's coming on the show next, how he mixed it, because I said I want like that Xanadu sound that you hear at the end of the Xanadu film when Olivia Newton-John's doing that final segment with the goddesses, and I'm like, I just want that, and it just sounds so good, especially when I'm pumping it in the car. So you guys are just outrageously amazing. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tammy.
It's lovely to be a part of it.
I'll talk to you guys hopefully soon, and Sally, I'll get you in touch with Brian. So
Great,
cross fingers.
great. I hope the album just flies out into the world.
Yes.
Wouldn't that be nice? Then we'll go on tour. Sally's like, no, please, no. Have a good evening, you guys. I'll see
Okay,
you
bye,
later.
bye, Tammy.
Bye, Tammy. Bye.
Bye.
Allie.
Oh, I love them. They're so great. It's so great to see everybody. I'm so grateful that we all got to work together. So let's bring on a couple our last guests of the evening, and then we will also officially announce the winner of the Glowing in Timeless Places giveaway. If you go to the chat and YouTube, you'll be able to click on the link and go ahead and type in your name. You might be able to win a CD and some goodies, and it's also scrolling right underneath me as well. Head to tammytuckey.com/order if you want to start streaming and listening to the album now. So while you're waiting, let's go ahead and let's play another clip. This is actually going to be featuring. Oh, you know what? I do have a message from someone from Josh. He couldn't join us this evening. But we played a little bit of Main Street USA, which I'll play for you again. But Josh was one of the instrumentalists, and he's on the Disney Cruise Line right now. So he sent a little video message to say hello to us all, and then we'll play a little bit of the Main Street USA song. So here he is.
I'm at sea again on board the beautiful Disney Wonder. And I just thought I would also like to share this story with you. Now, does everyone remember 2020 and how much of a unanimous dumpster fire that year was? The way I found to motivate myself was to create arrangements and tracks of songs that I absolutely love. And this next song was one of them. So I sent this to her, and lo and behold, here we are. It is now the closing track to Tammy's second album, Glowing in Timeless Places. And I couldn't be prouder of what we put together.
Hear the music playing from the old-time ragtime band.
I feel the whole place swaying with the people from across the land.
That was great to hear from Josh. He says hello to everybody. But yeah, again, he's on the Disney Cruise Line. He gets to perform on it. And I'm kind of jealous. But I'm so grateful that he created the beautiful instrumentals that you hear on the album, including One Little Spark, A Cowboy Needs a Horse, Bright Little Star, We'll Meet Again, Veggie, Veggie, Fruit, Fruit, Main Street USA, and Canada, You're a Lifetime Journey. So I think you'll all really enjoy what he did. And here's a little clip of what happened, what we did last week. We actually got a chance to perform some of these songs for a little cabaret to promote the release of the album. And we got featured on the news. So take a look here.
Sounds of Disney filled the Upper Dublin Public Library during a very special performance today. From Epcot to the Magic Kingdom, memorable songs from Disney World were performed by Tammy, Tuckey, and other singers. The showcase was a preview of Tuckey's upcoming album, Glowing in Timeless Places, which comes out on April 15th.
That was really special. So now we're going to talk to two individuals that really helped craft this album, especially musically and also for the promotional materials and how the album looks itself. So I'd like to welcome Hal. Welcome to the show.
Hello.
Hi there. How are you?
Good.
You're the
Very
official producer of the album, and I'm so lucky because we got to know each other through Retro WDW, your podcast, and we were talking to Allie because you guys flew Allie and myself in to perform Two Brothers and some Epcot songs. So
yeah,
that's how we got to know each other.
Yeah, we're so glad you did that too, because that was one of the highlights of the evening for sure.
Oh, thank you. We had so much fun. That was a special moment just to see people stand up and go Allie. So she was just like, she was like, wait, what? They know me? And I was like, Allie, yes, you're very well known.
Right. I mean, and you touched on this. It's one of those things. Her name was was in the credits, I think, probably on the original Epcot album, but no one really knew who she was, and certainly the vast majority of us had never had any chance to see her perform live. So I think that was such a real treat to be able to bring her out to 350 people who knew exactly who she was, but never got a chance to see her before. So
it was glorious. It was glorious. So we're going to play another clip of some music to feature our next guest. So let me go ahead and start that.
The star, she wishing the same wish as me, that somewhere out in space there may be a nice planet for two.
And that's Brendan. So let's welcome Brendan on the show as well, too. Hi.
Hey.
It's good to see you. I saw you at the cabaret last week. Thank you for coming with your little one and your wife. It was so good to see you guys together.
Absolutely. Yeah. Glad we made it out. It was a really nice show.
It was fun. We had a lot of fun, and it was just a joy to kind of finally get to sing some of these songs live, because when you're in the booth for 3 months, you're like, is this working?
Right.
We're doing it over and over again. And I think like that was probably it was interesting, because I was telling somebody, I said, all the songs are so much fun to sing, but some of them are just extremely difficult. And I just keep thinking, oh, poor Brendan had to hear me do so many different takes.
That's what I live for.
And he's like, yeah, but it was so interesting because, so how we started this project together working on the Indiegogo campaign, and we got all these wonderful supporters, and the album started rolling, and we're trying to find a look for the album, a title for the album. And we were kind of going for more of an Epcot feel this time, because the first one was You'll Find Me on Main Street, more of a Main Street type of, Magic Kingdom feel. Right. So, and how you're an expert in Epcot in general. So, and it's so good because like I could throw things at you and be like, what do you think about covering this and this? And especially material, I was like, nobody's really covered it because it's so sacred. So what did you think about the song selection process when we were kind of like going through that in particular?
Oh, unfortunately, I lost the last half of your question or your statement as
it's okay.
From
I was just saying
glitches. So
no, I was just saying, what did you think of our process? Like when we had to select songs, we had to kind of go from a list that we had and select something that, that would reach out to audiences. But then, it was a hard selection process because you don't want to touch anything that's like really sacred.
Right. And Disney has such a catalog of great music, and especially with Epcot. I think I sat down one time and tried to figure out how much original music was written for Epcot. Mm-hmm. And I think my conservative estimate was 300 hours between the songs in the pavilions and the loops outdoors, because each, not only were there individual songs written for each pavilion, but then there were different arrangements for those songs, at the Epcot main entrance, and then 30 to 40 minutes of music outside of each one of the pavilions that would repeat those themes and arrangements in different ways. And then all of the countries. So there was an astonishing amount of work done on that theme park. And when I finally sat down and thought about it, it just boggled my mind. But there's so much good stuff to choose from. I mean, I think the hard thing was trying to narrow down, as you said, what are the things that you cannot touch because those performances are indelible. But one of the things I really liked was, for everything that you did, you found some different twists to put on it, something new, so it wasn't just a rehashing of the old version. It's like there was something that you brought to it. So I think that was one of the parts of it that I liked the most. These are all songs that we recognize and we know, but then there's that Tammy touch on it that makes it different and unique and special. So I'm very, not only I'm happy, but thankful of how it turned out, because it's respectful of the material, but then also brings it into the 21st century.
Which we don't hear a lot of. And then poor Brendan is like, what are these songs? What am I going to be listening to for like months on end? He's like, what? But what was Brendan will tell you what the one that was stuck in his head. Because I remember I came back to the studio one day and he's like, this one was stuck in my head. Do you remember?
Well, oftentimes it was whatever the last one we worked on. But I think the one that stuck with me the most was Veggie, Fruit.
I remember when I had to do the lower part to it, and I just heard you laugh, and I was like, the only time you laughed at just like the performance, which was a good thing because I was trying to be like ridiculous with it, and you were just like, it's great, you've got the character down for it. I was like, oh, I know what I wanted to do for this one particularly because it's just so much fun. But that one it's so catchy.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, I think that one was really, really fun. And then there's some songs that are just vocally really difficult, and trying to find a character is very, very hard. And I think a lot of people think that most artists just come into the studio and sing and then they're done. I feel like it's more of a collaboration. Wouldn't you agree, Brendan?
Yes, definitely. And I think something that worked out really well with this project, and I think my particular approach to recording vocals and producing vocals is I am always searching for characters, even if it's outside of a project such as this, which has such a visual and dramatic and theatrical element to it. Even if it's just a regular album that doesn't have any sort of visual component, I'm always in search of like, let's find the character for the vocal for that song. And so what was so fun about this project was every song was so completely different that we were always in search of who is the speaker, what is the context of what they're going after, and let's find the right absolute, like we're casting a movie. Like that's how we approach it in the studio. And so I think it worked out pretty well in this particular project.
Yeah, I was so grateful for the feedback that you would provide, because you have more experience than I do in the recording studio, and just hearing so many different voices and artists. And I would come in with something in my mind, but then sometimes it just doesn't work. It doesn't click with what the music is. And you would offer suggestions on how to change it up, because I remember ICU was probably the most difficult and time consuming one, only because it was so vocally challenging, and we were trying to find the character, and it was extremely hard. But with your encouragement, like you were like, maybe we can go for Celine Dion type of homage, because it is a James Horner song, so which helped, because I didn't know how I wanted to do that particular one, because it's just difficult in general. But like when you work with artists in general, do they usually come in with something that they know that they want, or do they really like to collaborate with you, kind of like what we did?
It's always a little bit different. I think for me, I always want a certain amount of openness to collaboration. That's just kind of my general style and my approach. But I also respect an artist who really knows what they want and goes after it. And maybe I'm kind of along for the ride. But I definitely appreciate, Tammy, how you were open to feedback and open to trying ideas, because the studio was such a great opportunity to try stuff and to really find it. And we all know when it gets unlocked and when the song becomes the best it can be, because you can feel it. And so that's part of one of the most fun things about what I do. And yeah, again, for this, I think we always knew when we got it, and we always knew when it was close, but not quite it. And then when it was there, it just like, yes, we know, like, that's it.
It worked. And it's so hard, because when you listen to the originals, I don't know if you listen to many of the originals, but for Hal and I, like, they're probably so ingrained in our minds. Like, I wanted to pull from some of those. I remember when we were doing A Cowboy Needs a Horse, it was just me singing, and that was it. And then I was like, well, they have this harmony in the original version. I was like, could we try it out and see? And I think you were a little trepidatious. You're like, I really just like the character singing it out. And I was like, just at the beginning, just at the end, let's see what it sounds like. And it worked. It was really, really fun.
Definitely. And it's always good to be surprised. And especially something like this, when there are recorded versions that are out in the world that people know. It's like you always want to nod to them, but you also want to be able to offer something new. And I hope that we kind of rode that line with like being able to acknowledge that these are things that are well known in some cases and really well known and well loved in other cases, while also giving a fresh take.
I think I hope a lot of people appreciate it. I was like, okay, I'm going to definitely send you One Little Spark, because I was like, this is the most scariest song I'm worried about for people to hear and hear their feedback on. So when you finally got the album, Hal, what were your initial thoughts? Because Brendan and I were like, we want to have some feedback. So that's why we wanted to send it over to you.
Yeah, it's so different, because the original is, it's really straightforward, particularly because of the segment that it's in the show. They had, a minute and a half, 2 minutes. The version that we've heard over and over again is just from one small slice of the attraction. But you taking that idea and taking the entire attraction and rethinking it and turning that into a song was just such a different, fresh take on it. That just knocked my socks off. And the instrumentation and the arrangement and everything on top of that, but just the very kernel of the idea of like, let's deconstruct this and reconstructed in a way that's different from every other version that we know and think we know what this song is, was incredibly powerful. So I really loved that.
It was so great because like when Brendan would send his mixes over, he'd be like, I have an idea for this song. So like when you did We'll Meet Again and you were like, I think we should bring it in as a record sound effect in the beginning and then have it drop. And I think that's the one of the most great feedback pieces I get from originally when we sent it out to everybody who worked on the album was like, what do you think? And that was the one everybody's like, oh, it gives it a little something, because this is just an audio medium, so it's difficult to surprise people. And that was all on Brendan. That was totally his idea, and I loved it. It was brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not to gush, but the musical side of this album is very well produced, and there are moments like that. You know, as a person that has been a music lover and have spent a little bit of time in the studio, it's like I'm knocked out by how well produced and put together this is. And there are all kinds of, great little moments like that you can find throughout the CD, where there are, it was treated not as a let's just go in and record this. It was a very thought out, produced in the best way of that word, album. And so I really was just knocked out by stuff like that. I love that. It just, those are those little things where you're like, oh, there we go. Because you get a great earworm, with the great singer and a great performance. Then you have those little things. It's just, that's right in there. Like, I think, to me, Bright Little Star, that is like the perfect, like 2 minute, 30-second, 3-minute pop song. Like that's it's just done the best way possible. You can't beat that. It's like, it's right in the groove of exactly what it's supposed to be. I'm like, there you go. There's no improving that. That's done. It's like, it's perfect. Like it's such a good thing. So yeah,
it's beautiful.
And
George Wilkins wrote it.
Yeah.
Sorry to jump in, but George Wilkins wrote it. He couldn't be with us this evening, but he says hello. But we do have a songwriter who is with us. He is actually, he was supposed to be in the earlier, but we were having a little technical difficulty. So let's welcome songwriter and singer Stu Nunnery to the show. Hi, Stu.
Hi, Tammy. Hi, everybody.
And Stu, you got to write, you wrote Main Street USA. That was your baby. And you had never gotten to sing or perform it like on an official version of the song. So because we had known each other through just interview process, being on the podcast. And I was like, this would be cool to sing it with the person who wrote the song that's so well known. So what were your initial thoughts when I messaged you about it?
Well, that's been some time. And I can't think of anything more exciting tonight, though, than to congratulate you on this great show. This wonderful album, and I'm so grateful to have been part of this.
Oh, thank you. It's such a joy to have you be a part of it. You know what I mean? I think we sent over the chorus that they were on the show earlier today, a couple of them, and we recorded their part first, which was so much fun. And we also recorded my part, and then we sent that over to you so you could have something to hear. And with I think we added the tap dancing later, a little bit later, but I'm
coming to you live tonight from my kitchen, but I did the part for you in my living room, and it was a great pleasure.
Oh, really? That's awesome. I loved what you did with it too, because I feel like Main Street is a fun song, and it's not all about, singing it. You know what I mean? It's about creating a character, and it was fun to do a duet with you,
Well, we did.
We sang it.
Technically, we did. Absolutely.
I just keep hoping that maybe one of these days, hopefully we'll get to meet and sing it in person.
Well, I think we will. And do your folks know that Main Street USA is 45 years old this year?
Whoa.
It was done in 1978 because Disney wanted new songs to celebrate Disneyland's 25th anniversary in 1980. And this was written in 1978.
Wow. That baby has legs because it's still playing at Walt Disney World.
Worldwide on DVDs, Disney sing-along tapes, advertising for Japan Disney and Euro Disney, and the Dapper Dans at the park sing it every day. So it's a wonderful song. I loved writing it. It was easy to write, even though it was quite a long song, and it's still got legs.
Oh, it's brilliant. It's got those legs. I'm just so glad that they incorporate it still in the theme parks. I haven't seen the Dapper Dan sing it yet, but I want to. I'm like, please sing it. You know what I mean? But I always miss it, no matter what I do.
Have you seen the cast of characters do the song, the Main Street Parade?
The trolley performers, yes.
Which is really what happened, and it's great.
I love it when they do the song because they mesh your song with the trolley song from Meet Me in St.
Yes.
Louis, which is another one of my favorite musicals. So, you know, that's a cool, you get to be intertwined with one of the best Hollywood songs of all time, right? And one of the best theme park songs of all time.
Well, it's great. And it's plus the cast of characters, and it's a very animated song. And the actors did a wonderful job with it, and as did the Disney musicians. But also your background singers on our duet were wonderful.
They had so much fun recording, and then Brendan gets to come in and help layer it and give it that texture. And then, you know, you record your piece at your house. I think a lot of people forget that we weren't all together in the recording studio. I wish we could have done that, but everybody was in a different state, different country, and we're sending over, you know, these files and these music files. And then Brendan is like, puzzle piece, let's put it together. You know what I mean? So
that's the joys of modern technology, and it's a great thing. And I was so glad to be able to do that with you. It also gave me a chance to sing something that I wrote many years ago, and haven't sung live or in public for many years.
Well, one of these days we're gonna do it live. We're gonna have. I always wanted to do a music video with this one. You know, when I hear a song, sometimes I picture a music video, and this was one. Because I had to do a tap dance to it. I told Brendan, I said, I'm bringing my taps. I'm going to tap for you. It's been a while.
I'm all for it. I've got lots of costumes, so we can do great.
Oh, good. There you go. I know. I'm like, I had to pull out my Dolly Levi costume, and then I'll start walking.
That would be great. We've got to videotape that. So.
And my dad just wrote, legs it does. So you.
You bet.
Well, before we wrap up this evening, just as a friendly reminder, we had a lot of people who were entering to win the contest this evening to win their own copy of Glowing in Timeless Places. And I think all of you gentlemen, you all have yours, right?
Yes.
I don't know if you have a CD player for it, but you at least have your copy, which is great.
I keep mine no less than 5 feet away from me at all times, just in case the bug hits me, that I need to listen to it.
I'm grateful to hear that. That's great. And Hal did the beautiful. We had a great group of artists, Ellie Art, who couldn't be here this evening. They were going to join us, but they couldn't be here. So they designed the cover, and then Hal added his magic to the title and how the title looks, and the back of the booklet and inside it as well too. So I always like to suggest to people, if you love physical media like I do, definitely get a copy, because you're going to see Hal's brilliant artwork, just putting it together. It's so beautiful to look at. I was so thrilled when it finally came into the front door. I was like, I got to see it in person. So it looks really great. You can order your copy at tammytuckey.com/order. You can also get the Spotify links, Amazon, iTunes. You can find the album everywhere as of today, April 15th. I can't believe we're here, guys. We made it. I know Hal and Brendan are like, great, I don't need any more texts from Tammy because it's done. They're like, we're done. But it was such a pleasure to work with all of you. I think it just bringing all of this talent together for this album, just extremely, again, blessed. And you all have such like, I think a lot of people forget that the talent to me is like the equivalent of magic. You know what I mean? Like, there is no way this would look the way it did without Hal's magic. You know, Brendan mixing and mastering this album, and the way you hear it, when you hear it, is just magic. And the way Stu wrote this song, and now 4 40 years later, he's recording it and singing it with a wonderful group of, a wonderful choir. Again, magic. So I really can't thank you guys enough. This has been such a joy to work with all of you and everybody who's been on the broadcast tonight too. So thank you.
Tammy, everybody has to say one of the magical things that happened was you putting everything together. It's incredible what you did.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It's been a joy. You know what I mean? I love it when we can create something new. You know what I mean? As I said earlier in the broadcast, I was expecting Disney to do their own album and master some tracks. That didn't happen, but maybe we could kind of add a little bit to the 50th anniversary celebration of the theme parks and our own little way. So it's just been so wonderful. Before we wrap up, I'm going to, in the private chat, I'm going to announce, I'm going to type in the name, and Stu,
yes,
would you mind, we can give you, Hal and Brendan will give us a drum roll. And if you could announce the winner of the album this evening, without further ado, drum roll, please.
You want me to do a drum roll?
I got Brendan and Hal to do it. You can announce the name. It's in the private chat.
Okay, in the private chat. Let me see.
It should be there. Hopefully. Let me post it again. We still got the drum roll happening.
Okay, just let me see if I'm doing this.
Yep, almost there.
Oh, there it is. There it is.
Okay, go ahead.
Is it Beth Bramlett?
Yes, it's Beth
Woo!
Bramlett. Woohoo!
Beth Bramlett from,
I think, Florida. Beth, right, Beth? She might be in the comments section. I'm not sure. I can't remember, but she's usually at the retro magic events that we do with Hal and the retro WDW team. So, Beth, congratulations! And we got Bob saying, "You done good, Tammy." Thank you, Bob. It was good to meet you last week. He came to the cabaret event too, that Brendan was also at. And V says, "Congrats, thank you." Oh, Beth says, "I'm in Georgia." Congratulations, Beth! Woohoo! She says, "Thank you." And thank you for being a part of the broadcast. Thank you to everybody who watched this evening. It was such a joy to get to chat with you guys along the way and to see these beautiful faces once more. It's nice to have a little reunion. So thank you guys. Thank you, Brendan, Hal, Stu. Thank you to everybody who worked on this album. Again, couldn't have done it without you guys. And we cannot wait for you to hear Glowing in Timeless Places. Get your copy today, TammyTuckey.com/order. Before we end, Hal, Stu, and Brendan, do you guys have anything you'd like to discuss and promote? Of what you've been working on since this. Brendan, do you want to go first?
I'm good and grateful.
I could go on and on, but no, I just want to thank you for having me. There's always projects going on, but this one will always hold a special place for me. So thanks for having me be a part.
I'm so glad. Yay. Hal?
Yeah. And I'll just say, I one of the reasons that we got into this was when you were with us at our previous Retro Magic event. I saw no less than 3 or 4 people come up to you and say, when are you going to do the next album? And I think it was on our 4th one that it just struck me, why don't we do this? Let's kickstart it. This is successful. Like, let's get this going. And so I pulled you aside, I think, after I overheard the second or third one and said, I think we can do this.
You're also part of the new music industry. Which
That's
doesn't
right.
exist anymore, and you've got to create. I saw a great thing the other day where actor Jason Alexander said, "You've got to create your gigs these days. They just don't come to you." And that's exactly what you did, Tammy.
Yep.
I tried.
Yep.
And you did it. You did it. And only in 1 year too, which is, I think, phenomenal. So,
yeah, considering
we're
all the amazing work, you know what I mean? Again, it does take a village, and we had such a great village of people. So thank you guys so much. And again, thank you to everybody who is watching. Spread the word about Glowing in Timeless Places to friends and family, and let them know, because we love to spread the music and the love that we have for the theme parks. And all of this work is just been, I'm just so grateful. So thank you guys for being here this evening. And I'll have us we'll be taking out with some outro music. Thank you guys again. I appreciate you being on the show tonight. Thank you, Hal. Thank you, Brendan. Thank you, Stu. and will play us out. Bye, everybody. See you later.